Welcome to Jon Jon Radio, RiVA City's #1 radio show, now on radio. Here I have my co-host, my co-pilot, Coach.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Jon Jon Radio.
Now, our guest today, we're not twins.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, okay.
But there's a reason why we look alike. My older brother, my personal attorney, one of my biggest influences, attorney Paul Eric Freeman.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, before we go any further, how do you want to be addressed? Do you want us to call you Attorney Freeman, or do you want us to just call you Paul?
Just call me Paul.
Okay, cool. So, Paul, tell us a bit about your experiences, your background, and how you became the man you are today.
Well, I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. One of 4 children. Great family. My father is my hero, Willie Freeman. He passed away recently.
God rest his soul.
My mother, Sylvia Freeman, a tremendous, strong, beautiful, intelligent woman. So grew up in Portsmouth. I went to Churchland High School. Had a good time, played sports, you know, normal all-American kid stuff.
Right.
After I graduated high school, I was accepted to a couple colleges, but I couldn't make my mind of where I wanted to go. So I decided I'll just join the Navy.
Okay.
I joined the Navy, went to San Diego for boot camp, spent the first 2 years in the Navy out in California. Great place to be, lots of different people, interesting things to see and experience. Then I came back to Norfolk, left Norfolk, went to Guam, which took me to Japan and the Far East and Australia.
How was it?
Guam is great. Guam is wonderful. It's a magical place. You should go if you get a chance. Long plane ride.
We got to go, Coach.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Then after I left Guam, came back to Norfolk, had a great experience with on several admiral staffs in Norfolk, where I decided that after 7.5 years at sea, it was time for me to go to do something else.
Okay.
I was in the Navy 10 years, almost 11. Like I said, most of that was at sea, so I wanted to go do some other things. So I left the Navy. Oh, by the way, I got my bachelor's, my master's while I was in the Navy, and the Navy paid for it.
Where were your bachelor and your master's from?
Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold. So after I left the Navy, I went to law school at William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. Law school sucks. William & Mary is a great place to go.
Right.
And believe it or not, you can actually divide the two things and you'd understand. Mm-hmm. Law school itself is like learning a new religion. It's like growing up thinking the world is Protestant, and then learning later that it's actually Buddhist. So after law school, I worked in Richmond for a while. That was nice. It paid you a lot of money. Well, at a time what I thought was a lot of money. Yeah. And then the stock market crashed. And the stock market crashed. People lost jobs. Now, you probably started off with thousands of law firms all over the country, okay? But as the stock market crashed, consumer credit dried up and corporate credit dried up. So if there's no corporate credit, companies can't borrow money to sue another company. What happens often is company A who wants to sue company B, they'll do a cost-benefit analysis, and they'll determine, okay,
Which is?
well, you determine if it's worth it or not to go through with the actual plan. So if it's worth it, for example, if I can sue, I won't do that. If you can sue me for $10 million, but it only cost you $2 million to do it, it's a good business decision, right? So you borrow the $2 million, sue me, I pay the $10 million, you pay off the debt, and that's it. Well, like I said, when corporate credit dried up, companies weren't suing each other as much. So when companies aren't suing each other, we don't need as many attorneys. So me and probably 249 of my closest friend attorneys at one particular place were giving out walking papers. That same day, I think they cut, or that week, they cut about 400 support staff. So you had this glut on the market of attorneys. So jobs that were normally set aside for entry-level attorneys, brand new attorneys, those are your public defender positions, your prosecutor positions, entry-level positions, they were being taken up by attorneys with 10, 15, 20 years experience. So if you can get an attorney with 12 years experience, why are you going to touch this person with 6 months?
So it was a blessing in disguise.
In disguise, absolutely. It was around Christmas time, 2008. It was a long drive home. Left that morning thinking everything's great. It's almost Christmas time. We're going to go get some things out of layaway. And you're driving home, you realize that, oh, sugar honey iced tea, what am I going to do? Yeah. But like I said, it was a great thing that happened to me. It forced me to decide to get out on my own and create my own practice. I did that, and I never looked back. Now, I can tell you this. When you lose a good job, okay, your mother will send you emails about job postings. Okay? Hey, how you doing? By the way, such and such is hiring. But it's because they love you. I couldn't have got through without the support of my family. My mother, father, my wife, my kids. Everybody was great. My brothers and my sisters, everybody was great. So I got my own practice now, and it is wonderful. The great thing about it is I have the flexibility to take on the cases that I want, and to let things I don't want to get involved with kind of go by the wayside. My passion is criminal law. I love defending people against the government. Not saying that the government always tries to beat up on the little guy, but I love defending people against the government.
So criminal law is your expertise?
Well, I can't call myself an expert in Virginia.
Legally?
I can't call myself an expert.
Okay.
It is my passion. It is where I focus my time and energy. I really enjoy doing criminal law. I really enjoy doing family law. Really enjoy. I can see the immediate results. I'm very passionate about it. I can't call myself an expert.
Now, given your educational background, pretty extensive.
Yeah.
You have an undergraduate degree, master's degree, a law degree. I'm sure it wasn't cheap.
Well, actually, I'm glad you asked that. The Navy paid for my bachelor's degree, and they paid for my master's degree. Oddly enough, my mother, my father, and I all had got the same degree, master's degree through the same program.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. But the Navy paid for those, and because I joined the Navy, and because I took part in the GI Bill, and because I also took part in this program called Top Up. It's an additional program that you can pay for, and it adds a little more to your GI Bill payments. When I went to law school, I got a pretty nice stipend or payment every month from the GI Bill. So that helped, keep the lights on and put some food in the fridge. One of the things that people often, I meet people and they often ask me is, how do you become a lawyer? Okay. Now, the best way I can describe the process of becoming a lawyer is this. 1,000 people say, I want to be a lawyer, okay? Now they're talking about, oh, I want to be a lawyer. That'd be super fantastic. Okay?
A lot of money?
Well, we're not at the money part. They're just talking. Talking is free, talking is cheap, okay? Before you go to law school, you have to have a bachelor's degree, okay? And you have to, for most law schools, you have to take this test called the LSAT. Okay, and I'll tell you, the LSAT is a monster. Okay, so you have 1,000 people that talk about, hey, I want to be a lawyer. Okay, and then it's time for the LSAT. And the LSAT knocks off about 300 people. Okay, so you have 700 people applying to law school, actually getting into a law school. That first year of law school is it's another monster. Okay, out of that first year, 700 people, let's say about 100 decide they want to do something else.
Are you allowed to work during law school?
Well, the first year you can work 10 hours.
10 hours a month? Or
10 hours a week.
10 hours a week.
But I would suggest that you don't work because you don't realize how much you're putting in your head. So if you were to work, you would probably not accomplish the things you really want to accomplish. So like I was saying, so about 50, so now we're moving through, we get to graduation. Everybody who goes to law school doesn't graduate. Okay? So let's say now we're working with about 500 people. All right? Then you got that monster, the bar exam.
Oh God, the bar exam.
Oh yeah, this is oh God, the bar exam. Yeah, it's oh God. So you had the bar exam, and that thing is there to protect the public, because we don't want people who don't know what they're doing getting loose and wrecking people's lives. And I'll tell you, The bar exam really only tests your ability to think like a lawyer. Because there's no way in the world you're going to be able to put all of the laws inside of your head and memorize them. You'd be useless.
It's impossible?
Yeah, I think so. So, you had the bar exam. So out of those 500 people that sit for the bar exam, let's say 300 get past it. Okay? 300. So we started with 1,000, now we're at 300. Now, you got this brand new law license in your pocket. It's beautiful, it's shiny, it's a wonderful thing to have. Okay? But a law license and a law degree does not come with a paycheck. No paycheck.
So you're not guaranteed $100,000 a year?
I'd say probably many attorneys probably make about, well, I don't want to talk about what they make, but they don't make 100.
Okay.
So now you have a job. If you're lucky enough to have a job that allows you to be a lawyer, that is a blessing. Many times attorneys, even with a license, would take a job because they need to pay back those loans or pay the rent and keep lights on.
So we wanted to ask you to elaborate on a few amendments. We feel that a lot of people know what the amendments are, but they may not really have an understanding of them. So Jon Jon and I are going to read the 4th, 5th, and 6th amendments, and then you're going to break it down to us.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're starting with the 4th Amendment.
4th Amendment.
The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
God, that's wordy.
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does it mean, Paul?
Well, what that means is you have a 4th Amendment right to your privacy, okay? Now, your privacy is in layers. For example, you have more privacy in your home than you have in your car.
True.
But essentially, if the law enforcement wants to search you or your things, your place where you are, if they don't have probable cause, they're going to need your permission, okay? If they have probable cause, then the search is probably going to happen.
How do you know if they have probable cause?
You have no idea at that moment. There is nothing you can do on the side of the road that's going to make your life any better. It's not the time to start quoting the 4th Amendment. It's not the time, no, absolutely not. The best thing you can do at that point, because you don't know whether you have something in your vehicle or on you or in your house that they're looking for. You have no idea. You think they may be looking for bubble gum, and they're actually looking for cans of tuna fish. You have no idea. So the best thing to do if an officer, law enforcement officer asks to search you, is to politely say, no, thank you. I don't consent to the search.
You can say no.
You can say no, be polite.
Don't say, no, officer.
No, I wouldn't point my finger at anybody.
Okay.
But you can politely, decline to allow the officer to search. Now, if they want to search and they have probable cause, they can get a warrant. Okay. And they can also do what's called a search subsequent to arrest. For example, if a person is driving erratically, if a person is driving fast on the highway, they're speeding and changing lanes, the officer arrests that person for reckless driving. Okay. Once the person is arrested, the officer can then search the vehicle to do an inventory, make sure that your Van Gogh that's in the trunk is there and they get it accounted for. And if they happen to come across some contraband in the process, oh well.
Oh well.
Oh well. Sorry for you. Now, this thing about, I don't want to jump ahead, but probable cause, you can kind of look at it as probably because.
So there was maybe a reason.
Well, there's a reason, okay?
But you will never know it.
Well, you will know it, but you probably won't find out that on the side of the road. There's a reason why we have courts. Hire an attorney.
Hire Paul Eric Freeman.
Absolutely.
Now, bear with me. Amendment 5.
Okay. One of my favorites.
one of your favorites. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or war or public danger, limb, nor shall, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process, nor shall private property be taken for public use with just compensation. Without just compensation. So what does it mean?
All right. Fifth Amendment. All of the amendment is important. Absolutely. It's one of the greatest amendments, we have. One of my personal favorites. But let's talk about the everyday, what we're talking about, when we're walking around the world, interacting with other people. The Fifth Amendment guarantees your right to be quiet. Now, that's one of the biggest things people think that they can out-talk an arrest warrant. Right. Now, here's the thing. You can't talk yourself out of an arrest. You can talk yourself into more charges. So, if you come in contact with law enforcement, be quiet.
Don't be a chatty patty.
Don't be a chatty patty.
Don't be a chatty patty. I can't. If citizens, people understood how powerful silence is, I was probably more than half of the people that get in trouble and go to court wouldn't be going. One of the problems people run into is they always want to explain their side, not realizing that this isn't the forum. Again, that's why we have courtrooms.
Right.
So, no, you can't search me, or my being, or my person, or my car, house, anything.
Okay.
No, I won't consent to a search. No, I won't answer any questions.
So they just be quiet.
Be quiet.
Be quiet. Okay, be quiet.
On to the Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
What does that mean?
Well, again, we're talking layers of an onion. Each clause and it's very important. So important. It's like platinum. We're not talking about gold. Too. Those amendments y'all just described like platinum. But again, for the walking around initial contact with law enforcement, I'm gonna start at 4. No, you may not search me, my personal things. I will not ask any questions, and I want an attorney present. For any question, I want an attorney present. Now, law enforcement officers, they have a very tough job. They deal with some very dangerous, scary situations every day.
I agree.
They do it, and thank God we have law enforcement officers. However, every time, I won't say every time, yeah, I'll say every time, whenever you come in contact with law enforcement in their official capacity, they're investigating something, okay? So if they start asking you questions, ask for your attorney. In that dynamic between you and the officer, there's only one person trained for the exchange to back and forth. Officers go to trainings to learn how to talk to people, get information out of them. I'm not going to say twist words, but there's probably some trainings on how to twist people's words. Okay, so you get into that exchange with the officer, you're already in an uneven playing field. So you may...
I need my attorney.
You need your attorney, absolutely.
I need my attorney. Now, can they say no?
No. You got a right. Okay. That's a right. Just like your right to freedom of religion and assembly. And the funny thing is, a lot of people get in trouble because of those first two rights. Really? Okay, yeah. You know, speaking what they want, sometimes it's not the proper time and place.
Right.
And having firearms when they probably shouldn't have firearms.
I'm glad we're having this open exchange and conversation, because a lot of us don't know the 4th and the 5th and the 6th Amendment or other amendments and what they represent, or broken down in layman's terms. I thank you for that, Paul.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, before we go any further, there's more pieces to those amendments. I'm just giving you like a quick down and dirty for the person walking around every day. No, you can't search me. I won't answer any questions. I want an attorney. 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Now, here on Jon Jon Radio, we love when our guests bring gifts. So, Mr. Paul Eric Freeman,
Yes.
what do you have for the viewers of Jon Jon Radio?
For all of Jon Jon Radio's viewers, subscribers, people that want to help out and watch and push these numbers up, I'm going to give you a 25% discount for any services I can provide.
Wow.
Because to me, it's more important to give you the service. And if you say, I saw it on Jon Jon Radio, you know, that's awesome. So I'll give you 25% off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really great for you to do that for the people.
Well, thank you. We are the people.
Talk to us about DUIs.
All right, DUIs. A DUI is probably the most preventable situation you can ever be in, okay? When a person gets a DUI, their life changes forever. Forever, and it's definitely for the next 4 or 5 years. A BAC is a blood alcohol content. That's the number you get. Someone says,
BAC?
yeah, you know, oh, they blew a .08, they blew a .1. That's the blood alcohol content.
Yeah.
Instead of getting a BAC, I say get a CAB. Take a cab, get a taxi, Uber. It's not worth it, because I'm telling you, in Virginia, I want to say since July 1st, 2012, if you get convicted for DUI, whether it's, an odd thing is DUI alcohol, DUI drugs, you have to get an ignition interlock placed in your car. They call that a blow and go. It's a little box that goes underneath the steering column, maybe off to the side depending on which manufacturer you get. And you have to blow in it before you go and have to register all zeros and make sure that you are totally sober.
So that allows you to start the vehicle?
Yes. Now, let's say that a person had an ignition interlock in their car, and their significant other wanted to run to the store to get some chips, but they had a beer, okay? And the person with the actual conviction is in the house asleep. If anybody else blows in your machine, it's your violation. And I will also say, since we're talking about driving offenses, probably the #1 traffic offenses happening in most of the court rooms across Virginia is driving on suspended. Now here's how it works. Person gets the license suspended for some reason. I don't know, maybe they didn't pay a ticket, child support, something, okay? The license is suspended. Maybe too many rapid point accumulation, when you got too many tickets within a short amount of time, your license gets suspended, whatever it is, okay? When they suspend your privilege to drive, they don't take your keys. Okay? And that car is still sitting out in front of your place.
So if it's an emergency and I have to get to the hospital,
What is a real
Would an
emergency?
officer understand, hey, my license suspended, but I just got my leg cut off? Would an officer understand?
Or if your wife is pregnant, about to have the baby.
If we're talking about bleeding, someone bleeding, someone unable to breathe, an actual emergency, that officer can still take you to jail because you're driving. It may be an emergency,
But it's still against the law.
It's against the law. Now, There are some exceptions. I'm not going to go into the exceptions. I don't want to give people false hope.
Okay.
I'll tell them what generally happens is, because really there aren't that many emergencies that take place, and if something like your leg does get cut off, your foot gets cut off, you probably call the ambulance anyway.
That's true.
Kinda,
How you gonna drive?
How you gonna drive?
One leg.
Yeah. What often happens is people get that license suspension, and they don't take the car. They don't take your license. They don't take away your car payment. You know, you still got to make that payment, and it's sitting in front of your place. You got to get to work. Okay. So you jump in your car. You're late to work. You're speeding. You get pulled over.
God. Double whammy.
Double whammy. Or, okay, often I've seen this a lot where someone's driving somebody else's car. Okay, maybe I'm just going to use boyfriend and girlfriend, okay, but it could be boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend.
2015.
2015. Love is love. Just remember that. Love is love. They may not have a current inspection on the vehicle, or their plates may be expired.
You may not know it.
You don't know. How many people check their plates before they drive the vehicle? I do. I know when mine expired. But you know how many?
I will now.
The inspection is out. They jump in the car, and the officer, and you notice those things that on the plates are color coded, so the officer can see, you know, from a distance away whether or not that plate is still good or not. Okay, and that gets you pulled over. Officer gets to the window. Boom, you don't have a license.
Wow.
Driving on suspended. Or even worse. License suspended, car's in good shape, tags are good, insurance good, everything is good on the car. You get rear-ended at a stop sign. You weren't doing anything wrong. You got rear-ended. Well, you were doing something wrong. You were driving, but you get rear-ended at a stop sign. It happens more than you think. So if you don't have the privilege to drive, the best thing to do, don't drive.
Don't drive.
Or call me and I'll help you get your license turned back on. It's a whole lot easier, you know.
So how do we reach you?
Well, I've got a couple ways to be reached. 757-561-2613 is my office number. I've got an 888 number. It's going to be posted later. And also my website is www.williamsburgcriminallaw.com. That's www.williamsburgcriminallaw.com. No space between Williamsburg and criminal, and no space between criminal and law. My email address is defenselawyer@ymail.com. That's YMAIL.com, not Gmail, Ymail.
Now you have an interesting point. Williamsburg law, but you come to Richmond, over Virginia?
I go anywhere in the state. I do a lot of work on the 64 corridor, so you know, Richmond and Virginia Beach, all the cities and counties in between.
Well, Paul, I thank you.
Thank you.
Jon Jon Radio, #1 radio show, now on the radio. You will always be welcome to come back on and give our viewers some more advice.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
And can I get a ride home?
Absolutely.